the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the channel as we got some late breaking news here as the Mets get an arm in their bullpen, and that is former Yankee Devin Williams coming to Queens to fit in this bullpen for the New York Mets. And I don't think anybody was seeing this coming because there was no news about this, right? Where was the leaks? Where was the rumors? Where was the reporters saying that the Mets are in on Devin Williams? Nothing until it happened. So the Mets signed him to a 3-year, $45 million deal. The details are right here, as John Heyman reported that it's a 3-year, $45 million deal. It's $5 million per deferred, so $5 million each year. It's a $6 million bonus, prorated, equal over 3 years. So he's getting basically $2 million a bonus a year. So the thing is like, does that mean that Edwin Diaz is gone? No. Anthony DeComo tweeted not too long after the sign-in saying that the Mets are still very interested in bringing back Edwin Diaz. I do not think for a second that this is a direct line to saying that Diaz is gone. Now, can Diaz still be gone? Absolutely. I think the Dodgers are very much serious about getting Edwin Diaz, and that's a concern. But let's be honest, guys. We saw what Devin Williams did with the New York Yankees. Now, he didn't pitch well as a closer. But when they moved him to the 7th and 8th inning, he pitched extremely well. And that's what you have to look at. Right now, Diaz is not gone. If the Mets bring back Edwin Diaz, you're probably going to have one of the best 1-2 combinations in baseball in your bullpen, in the back end of the bullpen. So this is smart. And you know what, Dolo? And let me put up the comment real quickly. Yeah, listen, this is not a bad backup plan. This is why you make this type of signing. This is a fallback plan just in case Edwin Diaz goes to the Dodgers, because there is no guarantee. I don't care how aggressive the Mets are. The Dodgers can overpay and just give more and more if they want to. So you got to be careful in that sense. So the Mets do protect themselves. Now, am I telling you that, Devin Williams is great? No, but let's be honest. There's no reason why he can't be as good as he was with the Milwaukee Brewers. There's no reason why you can't think that. I think that being in New York for a second year, I think is going to help him. And I think that's going to be okay. I think this is fine. Like this is a fallback plan, but it's also a damn good signing. You're adding him to Minter already. You're adding him to Raley already. Like this is starting to develop in the bullpen. This. I keep on saying this, and I said this yesterday on Hot Stove. The Mets can't continue to give 1-year deal to bullpen guys. You got to have established guys in this bullpen for a couple of years in a row. You have to. You have to keep guys around. Right? You got to have established guys in a bullpen. This is part of it. This is part of it. Rarely has been a part of it. This is the idea behind all of this. He's still got Brazaban. He's not the greatest guy in the world, but he's still a part of this team. The fact of the matter is, I'm sick of 1-year deals in the bullpen. Now, if the Mets do sign Edwin Diaz, now you're looking like a bullpen that's going to be around, at least the bridge guy in Devin Williams and Edwin Diaz for the foreseeable future. That is something that you don't have to worry about. Now you don't have to worry about it for the next few years. And that saves you a lot of trouble during the deadline and during the offseason trying to look for top leverage arms in your bullpen. It's just fine. Yeah, Marlo, you see, that's the problem with Yankee fans. I don't think you pay attention. Was he a deer in the headlights? Yeah, he did. He failed as a closer. He wasn't good as a closer. But do Yankee fans forget how good he was in the 7th and 8th inning? Or did everybody forget? Of course they did. Like, I'm not saying that he was good with the Yankees as a closer. I'm not saying that at all. But he was good in the 7th and 8th inning. He was good in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning when the Yankees started to use him in that area. And again, until he is guaranteed being a closer because Diaz is gone, we'll have a conversation about that. But right now, this is the first move for the Mets in the bullpen of a big arm. This is not a bad move at all. This is smart. And you have to be careful with that when it comes to looking at the overall situation. And I do I know the frustration because as soon as everybody saw the signing, they're like, "Uh-oh, Diaz is gone." Again, if you just tuned in, Anthony DeComo tweeted out right after the signing. He says, "This does not take the Mets out of Edwin Diaz. They're still very interested in Edwin Diaz." Now, does that mean they're not going to go to a 5th year for Edwin Diaz? Yet to be determined. But you know what? This should be a good sign for Mets fans. He just gave a 3-year deal to Devin Williams. 3 years, $45 million. There's some deferred money in there, bonus money, and all that stuff. So this is a good sign. This is already telling you, and I talked about this yesterday. If you missed the show on Hot Stove last night with me and Chris, I said directly, and again, it was a 2-hour show yesterday. If you want to check it out, go right ahead on my channel or Chris's channel. That you have to be aggressive in certain areas. You also have to understand the fact that there has to be signs of David Stearns changing his philosophy a little bit. I'm not saying to change his whole philosophy around. I'm saying to change certain things of his philosophy, change it a little bit. And that means being a little uncomfortable with certain type of deals, right? This was an aggressive move for Devin Williams, right? I don't think a lot of people thought he was going to get a 3-year deal. But you know what? The Mets wanted him and they got him. I said that yesterday as well. Chris also said it. If you want a guy, go get him. This was a go get him idea. This was a go get him contract. And it's good. This is a nice move. Again, am I overly excited? No, because there's a lot more work to be done. But this is a good sign for David Stearns. And again, everybody knows I'm not a big fan of David Stearns. Everybody knows they're not, I'm not a big fan of David Stearns. But I wanted to see him change his philosophy. His philosophy for the bullpen is 1-year deals. This is a change in philosophy. Again, if you can land Edwin Diaz, you're going to have the best 1-2 punch in baseball in your bullpen. And of course, when Diaz is not available to close, you got Devin Williams to close, right? I know this was a failed experiment during the trade deadline with Ryan Helsley, but in-season trades are always tricky. You just never know. I think him being in New York for 1 year, I think it's a whole different mentality, right? It already started weird with Devin Williams when it came to the whole beard thing. I know that's a little weird, but you know what? He was a little annoyed by that. And you know what? He got the Yankees, the traditional Yankees, to change their beard policy. So I know that's crazy to think that that might be a problem, but I thought they started off on the wrong foot, and I think it trickled down into the regular season. So I think him being in New York for another year, I think is going to help. I think it's going to calm him down. I mean, this guy has the best changeup in baseball. Like, that didn't go anywhere. I just think that he lost his way a little bit, and that's okay. And that is where David Stearns, again, David Stearns obviously knows Devin Williams very well from the Brewers. So this is a comfortability factor for Devin Williams as well. You also have to take that into account. So, look, is this a overall exciting move? No. But I think it's a small sign. Again, I still think David Stearns needs to show me more, obviously. But this is a small sign that the philosophy of David Stearns is changing a little bit. His 1-year rental deals for a ton of bullpen arms isn't successful. It's a dangerous game to play. Yeah, guys are pitching for contracts for the following year, but usually you get 1-year deal type of guys that are probably not that good. And that's what you worry about. So that's where we are right now. Once again, if you're just tuning in, we do got some breaking news here as the Mets signed Devin Williams in the late hour of Monday on December 1st. So David Stearns is cooking. This is the first big signing of the offseason. And don't make no mistake about it, this is a pretty big signing. This is a big deal. And again, this is a smart move in any sense. If you get Edwin Diaz, you got an awesome back end of the bullpen. If you don't sign Edwin Diaz, Devin Williams is clearly the backup plan. And again, we'll see what else the Mets do when it comes to the rest of the bullpen. But you also got to understand what is going on here. And you got to be – and I also said this. Stearns did not let the market develop here. He made the market. That was the other thing we talked about on the Hot Stove yesterday. So a lot of the key points me and Chris made yesterday in regards to what David Stearns should do this offseason, his big problem the last two off seasons, or his last two off seasons was what? He let the market dictate what he was doing and what offers he would put towards players. He didn't do it in this sense. And he did the same thing last year with Clay Holmes. He didn't let the market dictate. He got Clay Holmes, and it ended up being a good signing. This situation, he dictated the market. He says, all right, you know what? You might have some 2-year deals out there. We'll give you a third. So again, some deferred money in there, some bonus money in there as well. So it ends up being very interesting as well, how the contract is situated. So, and again, you got to understand, guys, Devin Williams doesn't suck. Again, the focus was only on him closing for the Yankees. Right? He's been a career Brewer in a small market. He got traded to the Yankees. All right? That is not an easy transition. And again, I thought the Yankees and Devin Williams both didn't handle it very well when it came to certain, the beard policy and how the Yankees decided to, I would say they didn't use him the way they wanted to use him. But I just felt like they got off on the wrong foot in spring training. So it's not that I'm going to say that, Devin Williams dominant. Oh, great. Brewers Devin Williams. But right now, he is the first big signing of this bullpen. If you get Edwin Diaz, this looks like the smartest signing of the offseason so far. Because he's going to be your 7th, 8th inning guy. He is your bridge to Edwin Diaz. So, we got to understand here, guys, you're not going to have flawless guys in every part of your bullpen, but this is a good start. This is a good start. I'm not overly excited, but it makes sense. This is a fallback plan, right? When the Dodgers are involved, you got to have a backup plan. You got to be careful. You got to be careful in that sense. And Stinger, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he might do better with the Mets. I'm not saying he will or he won't. But you also got to understand, this is the first move of the offseason. Diaz is still available. If Diaz goes to another team, let's say the Dodgers, then we can have this conversation. Okay, does this mean that Devin Williams is the closer, or they're going to go out and get like Robert Suarez to close games? That's a conversation to be had. But until Diaz is off the board and not a Met, then we can have that conversation. But right now, it's a great signing. It does two things. It gives you a backup plan because you know what's going to happen. If Diaz goes to the Dodgers, what do you think Robert Suarez and his agent going to do? Oh, well, Mets, who are you going to turn to for your closer? I guess you have to overpay me. That's what probably David Stearns was trying to avoid. So he got him on a good deal when it comes to what you're looking at with Devin Williams. If he's a eighth inning guy, you got a bargain. If he's a closer, you got a bargain. Like, that's the difference. Let me just double check the math really quick. So it's $15 million per year, but it's technically not, because $6 million is deferred within the 3 years. So $2 million is deferred each year. So you're basically paying Devin Williams, who was one of the best closers in baseball 2 years ago and was a very good reliever after getting removed from the closer's role, was a really good reliever in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning for the Yankees, especially in the second half. You're getting him for $13 million. So if he happens to be a closer, he's $13 million and he's your closer. He's probably around the same amount of money as Robert Suarez, and he's going to be a lot less than Edwin Diaz. Now, again, until Diaz is signed elsewhere, then we can have that conversation. Is like, okay, what are the Mets thinking here? What are they doing? But it's a fallback plan as well as a great option if you happen to re-sign Edwin Diaz. So it's a great move. It's kind of a bargain, to be quite honest with you. This guy was one of the best closers in baseball, probably right behind Edwin Diaz 2 years ago, and this guy was probably on the precipice of getting $20 million a year as a closer. You're getting him for $15 million. Technically, with deferred money, it's like $13 million. It's a good move. This isn't a situation where this guy has been bad for 3 years, 4 years, and you gave him this type of money. This isn't a Frankie Montas situation for the rotation. So it's a good move. And the Mets got one of the best relievers on the market. You can say Suarez, Diaz, and Williams are the best 3 bullpen arms on the market. The Mets got one of them, and they possibly are going to get 2 of them. Because make no mistake about it, guys, I'm very confident the Mets are going to sign either Suarez or Diaz. So in a offseason where the Mets need a ton of bullpen help, they needed they have to get a closer. They have to get a late inning guy. They're probably going to get 2 of the 3 best relievers on the market, and 3 of them are closers. So pretty good. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm very confident, even though, again, I don't trust Stearns until he proves me otherwise. This is a good start to the offseason because Mr. 1-year deal bullpen arm guy and David Stearns has just flipped that philosophy and signed a 3-year deal to a guy that possibly won't even be the closer. So it's nice to see that David Stearns, one, is being aggressive and dictating the market. He is not letting the market dictate him and how he does things. And he also has a backup plan just in case if Diaz goes to the Dodgers, even though I still think he probably signed Suarez at that point. So the Mets right away in this offseason, by trading Nimmo and bringing in Simeon, they're starting to change the landscape of this team. the 1-year deals that Stearns loves to give for the bullpen is already getting changed by this move. 3 years, $45 million for Devin Williams. So nice move. More moves need to happen, of course, but it's a good start. It is a really, really good start. And yes, exactly, Joel. There's no opt-outs as well, which is good. Which means that there. And again, this is another reason why. This is why the contract kind of makes it paints a bigger picture, right? With the no opt-outs, meaning again, the Mets protect themselves once again if Devin Williams happens to be their closer. If it happens, they protect themselves at that as my cat decides to say hello. Hello. Sorry about that, guys. Well, Alien, sure. Look, I know everybody's here. Well, as long as Diaz returns, it's all good. Sure. But we also have to understand Diaz has control. If Diaz doesn't want to come back to the Mets, what if the Mets give a very good competitive offer, but the Dodgers, let's say the Dodgers and the Mets have the same offer. What if Diaz chooses the Dodgers? You can't do anything about that, right? This is a situation where it's Diaz's choice. And we'll see. Look, David Stearns was aggressive in this sense in this market and in this bullpen market. And the 3 best relievers on the market is Williams, Suarez, and Diaz. You got one of them already. I'm still very confident that the way this is looking like it's turning and the way that I think Stearns is changing his philosophy with bullpen arms when it comes to signing guys longer than 1-year deals, when, again, 3-year deal for Devin Williams, I think he's going to sign either Diaz or Suarez. Obviously, we all prefer Diaz. And again, if he gets Diaz, let's say it's a 4 or 5-year deal, whatever it is, who cares? If he gets Diaz, I mean, this is a home run start to the offseason. Home run start to the offseason. If you can have Devin Williams and Edwin Diaz to back end your bullpen as a bridge guy and a closer, I mean, you're talking about a start of a good bullpen, and that's not including Minter already. The possibility of Dylan Ross being a part of this bullpen as well. There's a lot of options here, and that's a good start to the offseason. I mean, the Mets will be running in the start of this offseason, and this is before the winter meetings, guys. This is before the winter meetings, and this is good. And, I did a video earlier about Kyle Schwarber, that the Mets are in the mix for Kyle Schwarber. Listen, I said this, and I'll say it again. For all you Met fans that think that keep on saying that, how are we going to replace the production of Pete Alonso? You sign Kyle Schwarber, you solve that problem. He's a better power hitter than Pete Alonso. Now, obviously, he doesn't play the field. He'll be a predominant DH, no doubt about that. But the Mets would have other routes, right? You can get Okamoto, the guy that everybody's talking about, the first baseman for Japan, who's a very good defender. He's like a 20 to 25 home run guy. You bring in Schwarber in here. I'm not saying he's going to hit 56 home runs, but let's say he hits 40, 42. And you got an Okamoto that can hit 20. That's 60 home runs just from those 2 guys. Not only do you shore up your defense, especially in your infield, but you bring 60 home runs to your lineup, not including Soto, not including Lindor. Let's say that either Beatty is here with another 20 home runs. You're talking about a ton of RBIs here. This guy looks just like white Dolomite. I mean, if that's an insult, I don't care about insults. I mean, I laugh at everything, so it's good. Let's see. Just checking the comments, guys. Alien, I do think McNeil is a goner. Let's see. Let me check the comments, guys. Give me a second. Yeah, Marlo, I don't know if Schwarber is going to stay in Philly. I think the Phillies are in a weird spot here, to be quite honest with you. And, I think there's other teams out there that are willing to give a little bit more for Kyle Schwarber. And look, I think the Phillies can't lose Kyle Schwarber, to be quite honest with you, especially with Real Muto probably gone from their team as well. That's two really good players in your lineup that you're going to probably possibly be losing. Okay, Mackin, I'll check. He's a black comedian. Really? I'm very white, but maybe I'll see what you're talking about. Yeah, again, Henry, I don't think Bellinger and Alonso is a possibility. I truly don't. Again, I would do that. I'd love that, to be quite honest with you. I think, that solves so many problems. You could put Bellinger in left field or center field, depending on what happens with Carson Benz in spring training. You have options with Bellinger. You can DH Pete Alonso from time to time and put Bellinger at first base. There's options there as well. So, Marlo, I don't think Diaz is coming to the Yankees. Again, would I be ultimately shocked? No. But I don't see the Yankees giving him 5-year, $20-something million deal per year. I just don't. Let's see. Who's the Mets ace? Well, we're hoping for. We're getting one. Right now, it's Nolan McLean. Again, with his, 10 starts last year. Again, there's a lot of promise. But again, the offseason's not over. Like, let's not talk about the Mets don't have an ace right now. I agree with you. We don't. I mean, Nolan McLean, but the offseason's just getting started. The Mets have made, a big trade with trading Nimmo. They just signed Devin Williams. This is a good sign so far. Right? I thought that Nimmo contract was an Alcatraz. It was terrible. A terrible, terrible contract. You can't say it wasn't terrible when Nimmo signed that big deal to be a center fielder with the offense that the Mets thought he was going to provide, and he provided the offense. I just think he's way too streaky to feel confident in. Like, does anybody feel like the 90 RBIs for Nimmo was really that important? Seriously, it just didn't feel like that. I feel like Nimmo was more lost than anything else. And on top of that, you're paying him as a center fielder who's now a bad left fielder. So it's just, you just can't really, I don't think you can be mad about that Nimmo signing, because it wasn't a Nimmo for Simeon deal, a 1-for-1 tit for tat. It was more about, again, I think this had a lot to do with McNeil and shoring up the middle of the infield and having a better double play combo. How many times did we complain about not turning double plays throughout the last couple of seasons? Let's be honest. And a lot had to do with Jeff McNeil not doing good jobs turning double plays, and he's been a problem. And I think that was a direct correlation of why the Mets traded Nimmo, one, to get out of that contract a few years, and to get Simeon in here, who's an excellent defender. And that's where I think we are at right now. So once again, if you're just tuning in to the breaking news, as the Mets signed Devin Williams, 3 years, $45 million, $6 million is deferred, $2 million per year is deferred. So it's basically $13 million a year. And there's a $6 million or $6 million, $15 million. Give me 1 second. Let me just double check here. This would be $6 million. Oh, sorry. $5 million is preferred per year. Also, actually, hold on. Give me a second here. This is weird how John Heyman did it. $5 million per deferred for 11 to 20 years, whatever. I guess that's over 20 years, $5 million. A $6 million bonus prorated equal over 3 years. So there you go. So the deferred money is spread out. So it's basically 3 years, $40 million. So you basically get him for what, $12 million a year, $12.5 million a year, which is still a very good bargain for a guy who was a top closer in baseball 2 years ago. So there we go. There we go, guys. Like, if they can sign Diaz, man, I mean, I tell you, man, I think this is the start of a really good offseason for David Stearns. And I'm shocked that I would say that, but again, I leave it open to give credit where credit is due. If David Stearns does what he needs to do and not just focuses in on his philosophy and has to change it a little bit, because his philosophy blew up in his face last year. You got to change some of it. I'm not saying change all of it, but some of it, because some of his philosophies, when it comes to the farm system and developing players, I'm all on board with that. But when you can get better and you're aggressive in getting better, I think that's a good sign. I think he needs to change his philosophy just a little bit, and it looks like he is doing that. So again, yes, Diaz did not sign with the Dodgers yet. Diaz is still on the table. And again, did I get worried when I saw Devin Williams sign in? I was like, uh-oh, does that mean that Diaz is a no-go? But Anthony DeComo, again, he is plugged in. This Anthony DeComo knows his stuff. If he says that the Mets are very much still very interested in Edwin Diaz, this does not take him out of Edwin Diaz at all. I'm going to take him for his word. DeComo is not going to put something out there that is false. If he believes that and his sources are telling him that they're still very interested in Diaz, I'm going to believe that. Until he's not with the Mets, I'm not concerned yet. I'm not going to go out on that ledge yet and think about jumping. Because I said this from day one. The number one priority this offseason is Edwin Diaz. And I don't think Devin Williams should deter them from doing that. So that's where we are right now. That is where we are right now. When it comes to what is going to happen next, I don't know. I mean, we've probably been, fumbling through Twitter, fumbling through social media, trying to find rumors, right? Looking at rumors. There was no reporting that the Mets were heavily pursuing Devin Williams. There was nothing. We heard Schwarber. We heard Valdez. We know about other guys as well. We heard about Bellinger. That's it. So, once again, there was no reporting on the Mets being even in on Devin Williams. And now he's a New York Met. So he comes from Yankee pinstripes to the Mets are orange and blue. So take it for what it's worth. And we'll see what happens next. But this was a shocking signing. Let's be honest. This came out of nowhere. I'm in bed. I was in bed. I got to go to work in 2 hours. I slept a little bit, but breaking news is breaking news. News is news. You got to be up on it, right? I think Yankee fans are happy. Why? They weren't signing him anyway. Who's their closer? Bednar, right? I like him, right? That's fine, right? But again, it's funny how Yankee fans forget. Like Yankee fans, look, he wasn't good as their closer. But in the second half, when he was pitching in the 7th inning, in the 8th inning, the 6th inning, he got better. He was actually pretty good in the postseason. Again, stop. You know what? Yankee fans liked Juan Soto, right? They were kissing his ass all year long when he was a Yankee. The bleacher creatures were basically bending over backwards for him, right? Re-sign Soto, right? We all heard that, right? And you didn't make the World Series without Juan Soto. So calm your horses there. Who's better, Williams or Bednar? Career-wise, Williams. Bednar was good when he came to the Yankees, but he has not been good for the past 2 seasons when he was with the Pirates. But again, this is not a shade on Bednar. Williams was the best one of the best closers in baseball the last couple of seasons. Right? Is that a question? Let's not act like this guy is not good. He had one bad season. And bad season meaning the first half. We good without Soto and the 20-year contract. The Mets didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, I agree with you. But Soto wasn't the problem. It was the Mets pitching. And the Yankees didn't get to the World Series. Last time I checked, they didn't even get to the LCS. Your first time getting to the World Series since 2009 was with Soto. Judge still couldn't put you over the hump. Again, I have no problem killing my team. Yankee fans seem to forget that they haven't won the World Series either. They got to the World Series with Juan Soto. And Aaron Judge couldn't do it himself and still couldn't do it himself. Again, this isn't a knock on Aaron Judge. He's the best player in baseball, in my opinion. But let's make the playoffs. I understand you made the playoffs, but now Yankee fans care about making the playoffs only? Well, if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. But typical Yankee fans always complain, but when they got Devin Williams, I mean, they were blowing him. So that's how it goes. Frank, who do you trade Jeff for a quality start? No, you can't. You're not getting a quality ace for Jeff McNeil, okay? All right, Jeff McNeil is not a very good player. He's a good utility guy. He doesn't hit for average. He'll hit you 12 to 13 home runs, and he's an okay player. Like, you might get a reliever. You're not maybe a lower level prospect. You're not getting a lot for Jeff McNeil. Maybe you put Jeff McNeil in a bigger package for another trade, but that's yet to be determined. But I don't think McNeil's going to be on this team. Let's see. Christian said, Bernard, yeah, I completely understand that. But again, how do saves happen? Saves happen when the closer gets into a game with a lead, right? The Mets didn't give Diaz many opportunities to give him a lead. Diaz didn't blow a lot of saves. Diaz didn't get opportunities to save a lot of games. Like, like that's the idea here, right? If Diaz came in a lot of games when they were tie games or the Mets were behind. Like, especially in the second half, Diaz didn't get a lot of opportunities. The Mets starters and their bullpen never gave leads to Edwin Diaz, never held leads for Edwin Diaz to get to that point. So, yeah, if you're looking at just saves, yeah, sure. But this is not a bashing of Bednar. I'm not saying Bednar. Bednar was really good with the Yankees when they got him. But again, if Yankee fans want to continue to bash everybody else, go right ahead. Diaz is having dinner right now with Magic Johnson. Of course he is. Sure. Why not? I'd have dinner with Magic Johnson too. I would. All right. All right. Let's just check something here. Just checking on things. Let me just check something here. There you go. So once again, guys, the Mets do sign Devin Williams 3 years, $45 million. And again, not too long after the signing, Anthony DiComo, a trusted reporter, a trusted guy here who is not going to put this out there if he thinks it's fake news. He did say the Mets are still interested in re-signing Edwin Diaz after the Williams deal. Williams is open to pitching in the setup role. This was clearly talked about. Let's see. All right, guys. Just checking. All right, just checking. Just want to make sure there ain't nothing else out there right now, and there isn't. All right. We'll send it exactly, right? This is a situation here that you're setting yourself up as a partial backup plan, and also, if you happen to get Diaz, there's your bridge guy to Diaz. Like it's a smart investment. It's a smart move. Gio, I think Diaz deserves a 4-year deal at the very least. He's probably looking for 5. Well, Coconut, exactly. I mean, that's a good point, right? Helsey got what, 2 for 28, if I'm not mistaken. So he got basically what Williams got with an extra year. So, I mean, I think everybody can agree that Devin Williams is a better pitcher. You know, everybody just base their year on last year. You know, it's not like Williams is 35 years old and here comes the decline. 2 years ago, he was one of the best closers in baseball. Like, so we'll see. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts here. Things are happening. David Stearns gets away from that 1-year deal bullpen philosophy right off the bat by sending Devin Williams to a 3-year deal. So, guys, we'll see if the Mets still heavily pursue Diaz, which I think they are. I think they would prefer a 4-year deal, but I don't think David Stearns is stupid enough to, again, I kill him for this. I tell you right now, if Diaz go to the Dodgers for 5 years and the Mets don't get to that 5th year, it's going to piss me off. I'd be the first one to tell you that. But I'm not bashing David Stearns. I like to bash David Stearns. Everybody knows that. But this was a good signing. Go get Edwin Diaz. Make the back of your bullpen one of the best in baseball. And now you're off to the races a few days before the winter meetings start. This is where you got to be aggressive. This is the best time to be aggressive right now. When you get all those GMs in the room, in the hotel rooms, at the winter meetings, that's when things can happen quickly. But you want to get what you can now so you can focus on the big deals. And that is where you got to take care of business. So with that said, guys, once again, 3 years, $45 million for Devin Williams. The Mets get a bullpen arm. We'll see what happens next, guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time on the channel, guys. Have a great night, guys.